All right. Well, hello, everybody. Hope you're all staying safe and healthy out there. Just want to thank you all for attending Cloudpoint Geographics webinar on what facility managers need to know about GIS. My name is Bill Steele. I handle the business development and marketing for Cloudpoint. We want to welcome a special panelist presenting with us today. Andy Stewart, solution engineer from Esri, is here. Walk us through some of the finer points of ArcGIS indoors. And then also from Cloudpoint, of course, Jonathan Hodel, founder, one of our professional engineers. Just a quick update on some of our upcoming webinars. Public Works is next week on the 28th. Then coming in May, we'll have webinars about cemetery record maintenance, our sign inventory management system, Sign-Ops, and an intro to parcel fabric in ArcGIS Pro. You can visit cloudpointgeo.com/webinars for a full listing of those and registration links, and keep checking in as we schedule more webinars throughout the rest of the year. I want to let you guys know too, we will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. So at any time during the presentation, if something pops in your head, just click the little Q&A button down on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. And if you're having trouble hearing or seeing the presentation or any other comments, just send me a message in the chat room. So some of you may be familiar with us, but just to fill you in, we work in many sectors: public works, facilities, land records, utilities, transportation, engineering, even cemeteries. As a trusted Esri business partner, we help people drive intelligent decision-making using mapping technology. And one of those technologies, of course, is ArcGIS Indoors, helping you maintain your organization while also putting your best foot forward with the people that visit your facilities. And with that, I'm going to turn the screen over to John.
Okay, thank you, Bill, and pleasure to have everybody here today. So what I want to touch on here to begin with is basically talk a little about what is GIS, how it can be applied to your organization, specifically when it comes to facilities and buildings and campuses. So, GIS can be applied in a way that typically, and it can be said that I've heard that 67% of all real property is managed through CAD files, and what we lose there is the ability to integrate that system of record and to be able to integrate that with a system of engagement. And what we can have with GIS is both of those opportunities to have a system of record and engagement all in one place. So we can utilize GIS for space management, for usable space analysis, interactive maps, turn-by-turn directions. Of course, in that case, you need this IPS, which is an indoor positioning system, which we can touch on a little later. Life safety information for emergency responders if we need to lift the roof and see what's inside the building. We can also have real-time monitoring feeds and sensors and maintain another big advantage is oftentimes all of these CAD files and our different records are located in all kinds of different areas, and it's hard to find a way to get organized with that data. So this can really help you maintain a single source of as-builts and allow you to share with others, both internally within your organization and externally with engineers, architects, and developers. And then it can also allow us to navigate across campus through multiple facilities, which is a big advantage there. So specifically what ArcGIS Indoors can do and what that is for is it's an Esri solution that they've created here, and basically it's a way it starts with the spatial data. So you got to have floor plans from some form or another. Typically you may be importing CAD files or BIM files as well, can be imported into the system through ArcGIS Pro. Or the other option is doing data collection with 3D scanning, which I'll touch on in our next slide here. But looking at this facility, if you have the floor plans and you have a system of record, maybe that's a work order management system, and you need to bring the two together, ArcGIS Indoors is a perfect solution for that. The components and different things that it offers, number one is web apps through a browser. You can have an interactive web app that explores your building or campus in an interactive way, looking at the floor plans, doing searches for different features and functionality throughout your facilities. It also has kiosk mode, as well as we'll show briefly an operations dashboard for managers that want to be able to view things at a high level to see what's going on within the organization. In addition, there's a mobile app. So Esri has an indoors mobile app that is native that can plug in the solutions that you create through ArcGIS Indoors. And then with the indoor positioning system, that basically consists of going throughout the facility and placing small beacons throughout the facility in order to facilitate an indoor positioning system, so you can essentially get the blue dot on the map on the mobile device. So an example, another way we can collect information on floor plans if we don't have good CAD data or maybe it's outdated, you can use 3D scanning technology. In this case, we've done some data capture using the mobile scanning units. In this case, we have a backpack unit. This is a GeoSlam that we're showing here. Collects high accuracy, high resolution point clouds that you can get of all of your interior spaces, and you can walk through many buildings pretty efficiently in a matter of minutes. So it's really a great data collection tool. And then of course we can take those 3D point clouds that are generated and essentially cut a slice through those in order to create a floor plan if need be in an efficient manner. Then we can extract features from that point cloud. You can populate databases, and then of course setting up the IPS system, and then ultimately creating an interactive user experience is what we're after with this. So with that, I'm going to jump into an example here in ArcGIS Pro that I'll show you. So what we've got here is, this is a project we've been working on. We have a cemetery here that we've provided some grave sites and mapping for. I'm going to turn on the grave sites, all the polygons, and you have the points of interest so we can see here.
Hey Jonathan.
Hey, John.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We can't see your screen.
Oh, okay. Let me get back to the sharing. Thanks for that heads up there. Let's see, Zoom share. Let's try it again here. Share screen 2. Okay, how about now?
Yep.
See the ArcGIS Pro project with the mausoleum. Okay.
Yep, perfect.
Thank you, gentlemen. So we have the, this is a pro project here I've got opened up where we started with a cemetery and mausoleum here that they have. And first we did the yard where we created the polygons and all the different burial locations represented there, which have the names tied to them as well as the points of interest. And from there then, of course, we wanted to be able to explore the mausoleum, and that's where the ArcGIS Indoors comes in. So here's an example where we basically took the CAD, the 3D scan data, created the floor plans from that. And of course, in this situation, this building has 3 floors. So we'll show you in a little bit how we navigate easily throughout those different floors. So this other tab here, I've got a map. This is a 3D example of the same data which you're just looking at. So it's really easy to transition from 2D to 3D in the ArcGIS Pro environment. So here I've got my different levels represented. You can see as I kind of rotate that and transition, you can see the different levels there. And I also have what's called transitions. In this case, it's either stairways or elevators. You can see that we've created here. And this is what we need in order to accurately have routing functionality between the different levels. You have to have transitions in place, and that's what we see here with the stairways and elevators. So that's an example of the 3D. And again, this is all defined in the attribute data of the polygons. You give it a height, the relative height, and that's what the 3D map here then is reading with that. So from this, I wanted to toggle on the route that I've got. So in this example, what the user has is there's a kiosk here on the main level where point number 1 is. And then point number 3 is on the second level. And it actually shows you, if you see the orange, how the user would then navigate up and down the stairs. And of course, this is just a basic view here. It'd be a lot more of a user-friendly view in the end result. But just an example of why the need for that 3D development, where that comes from. And then we've got the web map here. So this is actually the ArcGIS Pro map that I used to publish this example, which we'll show you in a bit here. But one of the things I wanted to point out was if we just zoom in and our features come to life there, we can see it gets a little busy. I've got 3 layers stacked on top of each other here. So the different walls and the points of interest look really busy and, you know, kind of crowd things up a little bit there. So one of the nice things in ArcGIS Pro is having the functionality to be able to enable this range slider. So I'm going to toggle it on, and we'll notice that this is what gives me the filtering from my different levels. So as I just toggle through there, I got a basement level, and then we've got a main level, and then we've got the upper level, which is just the center part of the building. So that's a nice, a really handy feature. And you'll see in a little bit how that's also translated into the ArcGIS Indoors web application. So just this is exactly what you need if you're going to publish from ArcGIS Pro to the Indoors environment. All of these layers are required here, and it's specific in the way the setup is there. So. With that, I'm going to go ahead and transition it now over to Andy with Esri. And Andy's going to walk through some of the steps and more specifics on how to actually set this up in the process of going through the ArcGIS Indoors tools. So, Andy?
Yeah, thank you so much, Jonathan. I appreciate it. So what we see here is we see our CAD drawing georeferenced and reprojected to our base map. And this DWG is useful for just understanding the basics like a spatial information database. However, we want to be able to have it in GIS, and GIS is super useful because you are able to actually attribute like rooms and points of interest. So the first process of actually going about creating your Indoors information model is creating that Indoors database. So the geoprocessing tool I'm using here is to create Indoors database. So I'm running it on a blank geo database here. And once that geo database runs, I'll get all the layers for the ArcGIS Indoors information model. Following this step, I would do floor plans to Indoors. So that's another geoprocessing tool that I can come over to my geoprocessing pane and type in here in the search bar. What this tool is going to be doing is it's going to be taking our CAD data and it's going to be shoving it into these GIS feature layers. So once the tool is done running, I can add these layers to my map, which I've already done for units, facilities, levels, and details. And if I was to select a polygon such as this conference room, I'll get the ArcGIS Indoors information model all calculated from just running that tool. So now I have the building name, the facility name, the level name, important attribution that's in regards to this facility unit. Following this step, I'd run a feature to point to create points of interest throughout my entire map. The reason we're doing this for feature to point is so that we have points of interest that we can route to and from. So like Jonathan was saying about creating routes from points, this is exactly what we're doing is we're taking the features to points, we're creating them for the building units, specifically like conference rooms, office spaces, meeting rooms, elevators, stairways. But we can also create points of interest for AEDs, fire extinguishers, ATMs, other points of interest that are relevant to our facility that we want to have access information to. Following creating points of interest, we're creating our routing system. So the first tool that we're going to be using to create preliminary transitions and pathways to get this lattice throughout our entire facility of all the possible ways we can navigate would be just generating a pathway. So this tool, once it's accomplished running, will look like this lattice that's running throughout your facility. And you can run this tool on multiple facilities, multiple levels. So you're doing one batch conversion. You're not just doing it one by one, making the process seamless. And then the next tool you're running is Thin Pathways. And what the Thin Pathways tool is going to be doing is it's going to figure out the fastest route from that lattice to go from one point to another. And this will also be another tool that's used to batch convert all of your facilities and all of your level data just in one shot so that it's accomplished and you don't have to run it by single facilities or by single levels. This routing network will be published to your enterprise environment where it will be hosted and used in your ArcGIS Indoors web application and your ArcGIS Indoors mobile application. Following this step, you would curate your map to look nice and neat for your organization. So here you can see the custom symbology I was using for conference rooms is purple, and then points of interest I've curated with some PNGs. And this will help the user to have a better experience within the application itself, to understand what types of rooms they're looking at, or possibly just trying to understand where they're at in the facility itself. And then finally, I curated a 3D map to have the same cartographic principles as I had in the 2D map. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just taking and I'm extruding all of my detail layers over here, my detail walls, detail doors for walls and doors, so that it gives that 3D scenario, that 3D aspect ratio for all of our users using the 3D web application. And I'll demo the 3D and 2D web application in a second. So after you've published all that data, the 2D, 3D, and your routes to your enterprise environment, we'll be putting it all together, and this is what the application will look like. So we can see all of our building footprints for all the facilities throughout the entire campus. Say if I was to select building Q, for example, you can see that it's pulling up the floor plan data here. So we have a batch converted to GIS feature classes. You can see that you could switch to different levels, giving that level hierarchy status. And you can see here that when we ran that floor plans indoors tool, it brought in the relevant information in regards to that facility. Another really significant thing about ArcGIS Indoors is being able to look at building units. So if I was to select this receptionist desk, for example, I can go to related items and I can see all the assets and the points of interest that are in the vicinity of this receptionist desk. For example, I could see an AED box in the vicinity of the receptionist desk. You can do the same thing for conference rooms, office space. If you have computers, laptops, chairs, desks, you can have those points of interest stacked underneath that building unit. Another really significant thing about ArcGIS Indoors is being able to search for a colleague in real time. So here I'm searching for James Manning, one of my colleagues over in Building M, and I can see and I have a directory of all the information in regards to him for point of contact. Say if I need to share this with a colleague and they need to understand where James Manning's desk is, I can go here to the share button, I can copy to clipboard, or I can send it in an email where I'll hyperlink that exact location where James Manning's desk is. So I'll just open up a new browser and I'll copy and paste that URL link. It will automatically locate where he is, and it will allow somebody to route to or figure out pertinent information in regards to who he is. Another important thing about ArcGIS Indoors is having calendars integrated with your entire application. So we can integrate Office 365, we can integrate just basic calendar systems into the application. So here I'm going to my events button and I'm going to search for an event that happened back in December. So here I can see that this is an event that's happening across campus, and I need a route from James Manning's desk to this event. So what I can do is I can click directions here, and I can search for James Manning. And on the fly, it'll generate a route going from James Manning's desk to that conference room. And you can see here I'm taking the stairway. Say if I'm an individual that maybe is a technician, or if I'm in a wheelchair and I can't access the stairway, I can easily just change my route to wheelchair, which will allow me to take a route from there to an elevator. Another important aspect within ArcGIS Indoors is when we actually did publish that 3D web application to our environment, we can now have it hosted in the ArcGIS Indoors web. So here I'm just going to show you what 3D looks like, and you can see the route actually being generated to in 3D. And you can see one of my points of interest here on the map too. So this will allow for a user to have a better understanding of their facilities and be able to visualize things in 3D. And finally, for the web application, we can also integrate work orders. So we integrate with ServiceNow and IBM Maximo to push work orders to our maps. So here you can see work orders in the facility. So if I was to zoom in and say select a work order, I can pull up information in regards to that work order and figure out what the issue that's ongoing. If you're also a field technician or a facility manager, you can easily go to your Explore button here, and you have a categorical organization here, so you can look at all of your safety and security assets, retail and service assets, places and things assets. But for this example, I'm just going to go into incidents and look at the directory of all the incidents that are happening on campus. So this is where it's hosted for all of those work order incidents that are happening that I can actually route to and look for and get information on. Now, I'd like to show the ArcGIS Indoors Kiosk application. So this is the ArcGIS Indoors Kiosk application. As you can see, the interface is a little bit different. We have large touchpad interface buttons down at the very bottom that have the same exact principle as the web application. I can hit the Explore button here and have the list of all of my assets that are happening throughout the campus. So particularly if I want to look for conference rooms, I can drill into places and things and look at all the types of conference rooms that are happening on campus. I can also look at all safety and security assets if I'm a personnel that wants to be able to look at where fire extinguishers are and be able to service those fire extinguishers. And now I'd like to show the mobile application and how the mobile application works. So for the purpose of this demo, since I'm not on campus, I wanted to show in real time how we're using IPS technology to track my current location. And the IPS technology that we're using is Bluetooth, but we can also use Wi-Fi beacons throughout your facility to figure out where in real time that device is. So as you can see, I transitioned the floors, and the map on the left actually transitioned to. You can see that point of interest, that entryway that I'm closest to. What I can do is hit my Explore button in the very bottom left-hand corner, and it will pull up the closest point of interest to my current location. So that entryway, I can save that location in my places to have future reference and then be able to route to it. I can share this location with a colleague using a third-party application or an email. I can also use my integrative calendar booking here, and I can route to another facility where a meeting might be taking place. Another really important aspect within the ArcGIS Indoors application is being able to search colleagues and figure out where they are in another facility in real time. So here I've searched myself, this is my desk, but I just hit the see my last known location. So this tool allows you to be able to understand where other employees are in your facility. This option is totally optable, so you can go into your settings and switch on to display the device location or share device location. So now I'd like to demo what this looks like in a live demo. So I'm going to go ahead and exit. I'm going to switch over to my mobile application. Awesome. So the first thing that you're seeing on your screen is the entire Esri campus here.
Hey, Andy.
Yeah.
Looks like it did the same thing happened to John when you tried to switch over.
Okay, let me stop sharing. Try this again.
There we go.
Cool.
Yep.
Thank you. So what I'm showing here is the Esri main campus in the ArcGIS Indoors mobile application. Since I'm not on campus right now, I'm working from home, it won't have that blue dot on the map. But that's okay, we can still use the functionality of ArcGIS Indoors without the IPS technology. So for this example, I'm just going to come down here to the search button. And I've already searched my own name, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. So that's where my desk is in this facility. And I was pointing to this earlier of where you're able to actually see the last known location of a colleague or an employee. So you can see this last known location as of 4:15. So I'll go ahead and select that, and it will take me to that last known location of where my device was sharing. And say if I do need to generate a route going from him to, say, my own desk, I can easily do that here with the search button. So now it's generated a route going from the first floor from that one point to the next. And you can see that generated the route. And that ends my mobile demonstration. I'm going to hand it back over to Jonathan.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Very interesting and very intriguing demonstration there. Appreciate that. So if I made the transition right here, you should be able to see my web application that I was explaining earlier, how we published the map from ArcGIS Pro. So key thing here, you can see in my URL, my application is living on our Indoors enterprise portal. That's important to note. This does not currently work with ArcGIS Online. You must have an enterprise GIS system in order to be able to take advantage of the Indoors technology. But in this case, I've got this map published here. And let's say, if you want to configure this, it's pretty easy. If I'm logged in, as a owner, I can configure it here through the different details. I can change and update the web map and information here. So it's pretty user-friendly once you get the data published in the right format there. But in this case, as Andy had pointed out, we've got the different levels that we can view throughout this mausoleum. So I've got the basement level, and we got the toggles there again, as well as this nice handy feature to be able to toggle. If we had multiple buildings, we could use that as well. In this case here, what I want to do is basically explore how we can look at, in this case, I just want to look at crypts, and I can explore those different crypts and where those folks are located at, pulls up information on each one of them and tells the level information. I can get directions from there. In this case, what I'll do is I want to look under, I have a saved location JSON here, and I want to route or find directions to where he's at. I can easily navigate there, and in this case, I'm going to go from the kiosk. And just another example here, as Andy had shown, we've got the ability to route at the different levels. So based on which level I have selected, if I select level 1, I'm here in the lobby at the kiosk. This shows me the path in level 1. I'm going to the elevator. Once I get to level 2, I'm going to be going straight off the elevator and around the corner to the location where Jason is at. But now in this case, let's say I have an example here where I discover Jason has a grandmother who's buried in the cemetery yard, and I want to be able to route to his grandmother's location from where he's at, his grandmother Dorothy, and let's just switch those around. So I'm navigating from Jason to his grandmother's location. Again, it's taking us back out of the mausoleum, down the elevator, out the lobby front doors, and now I'm actually in the cemetery yard, and I'm going to go down to the west here, and I'm going to go to where her location is within the cemetery yard. So just another practical example there of how we can configure the Indoors application for everyday uses and how that can benefit. So in conclusion, just to be able to kind of wrap things up here a little bit. So where we can come in to help you and what we've able to offer some of the services that we can provide is just a discussion or evaluation on, is the ArcGIS Indoor solution right for your organization? Is it a good fit for you? We can provide implementation services. We partner with Esri on these types of projects. We can also do training. If you have GIS staff who is interested in building some of the Indoors applications, we can certainly train on creating those applications or setting up the server environment in that case. Another area of interest is always data curation. How do we create the data and load it into our system? That's something else we can certainly help out with, as well as the hosting. If you, for example, if you have a facility and you say, hey, I just want my Indoors to be hosted in a cloud-based environment, we can certainly do that for you, and it's kind of a hands-free way of doing things there, as well as our managed services. If that's a situation where you want to take advantage of our professional services, in that case, we can help you out with the managed services. But a lot of this depends on, if you have a project you're thinking of and you want to, look at ArcGIS Indoors as a possible solution. One thing I will tell you is very important is to consider what you have currently for CAD data. And if it's clean data, that's one of the things we hear from Esri. A lot of feedback is folks want to get started on this, and they say they have CAD data, it's available. You start to look at it, and it's not clean. That's very important to start with clean CAD data. It'll save a lot of time in cleanup. But the idea is, as was explained, as Andy showed, Indoors is a time-saving tool. The processing tools within the Indoors environment is huge time-saving. The time-saving factor when it comes to loading data and automatically creating information from those CAD files. As was mentioned, you can integrate it with other Esri native apps, ArcGIS Collector. If you want to go around and collect fire extinguishers, AEDs, cameras, it goes on and on. You can integrate with ArcGIS Collector or Survey 123 to be able to integrate form entry and information that way. But as far as overall how it can benefit, it's improved decision making. The ArcGIS Indoors, whether it's you're interested in safety and security, facility management, engineering, or visitor engagement, there's many different applications you can take advantage of with ArcGIS Indoors. So with that, we're glad to be here for you. Be happy to engage with any one of you in a discussion. And I'm going to go ahead and then turn it over to Bill. He's going to conduct our Q&A session here. So, Bill?
Yep. As of the moment, no questions, but we'll give it some time to let those roll in. And while we do that, I've got some contact information up here on the page for you guys. cloudpointgeo.com/campus facilities, specifically in regards to our Indoors capabilities. Also my email and phone number if you want to get in touch directly. Of course, we're all over social media, so look us up and follow us on there as well. And then something new that we're getting ramped up is cloudpointgeo.com/recordings, where you can find the recordings of these webinars that we're conducting. Should have this one up by the end of the day today. So if somebody missed out or somebody else that you'd think could benefit from seeing this webinar or other webinars that we've done, by all means, please go there, share that with folks. And let me double check on the questions here. Don't see anything as of yet, guys. If you have anything, go ahead and just shoot that in the Q&A box and help you out there. Otherwise, I'll leave this contact page up here for a bit.